Hello, everyone, and welcome to the No Limits Bronze Coaching session today. I'm delighted that this session has been opened up so everyone can participate on a subject that we've had a lot of questions about in the community. So we've had a lot of questions come into us about unique selling proposition, and that's where we're going to focus today. Now, ordinarily, as part of the Bronze Coaching Program, these sessions would be very, very interactive and designed to address and coach the individuals in the room. Because we've had so many questions on this, I've prepared for you a short presentation to run you through, just to raise some questions for you to answer about your business in terms of taking it forward and really creating value from your unique selling proposition. So some of the questions that we've been asked is, how can I identify and define my unique selling proposition for my business? What are some of the effective strategies that I can use for my business to differentiate myself from the competition? And a host of others. I won't read them all out, but I've taken all those questions into account when putting this together for you today. So first of all, I would like you to think for 1 second about why you want to create value in your business. Perhaps this is really, really obvious to you. That's okay. But what do you want to do? Do you want to grow? Do you want to leave a legacy? Do you need more clients? Do you want to create more money? What is it that you need to do? And within that, in the back of your mind right now, that should give you a really compelling reason to take action. So take from today what's going to help, ignore what's not, take what's right for you to achieve your objective in growing your business, developing your business, gaining new clients, generating more leads, whatever it is that is really, really important to you and your business right now. So without further ado, now these two phrases are often used interchangeably by some. USP, unique selling proposition, and unique value proposition. But when you start to explore it, and that's what we'll come on to, value is far, far more powerful. So today I'm going to give you some questions to go away with so you can find the answers to drive growth for your business. Now, if you find that you can't find all those answers alone, that's okay. You're part of the No Limits community. You can reach out within the community chats to myself and fellow coaches, or if you want to, you can message me directly in the community. I would be very happy to support you get to the next level on this to grow your business. And today I'm going to encourage you to look at unique selling proposition. That's what most people call it, in a different way. I'm going to get you to consider no price competition. So imagine if you had no price competition. Might not mean so much to you now, but it will later on. And the other thing I want you to imagine is increased profit, because that is the key metric in business. There are lots of vanity metrics out there. Revenue, they say, is absolutely key, but profit from that is the most important thing. It's the thing that enables you to invest back in your business. It's the thing that enables you to pay your teams. It's the thing that enables you to do what you want for you within your business. So let's consider just for a second what marketing is. Now you can see on the screen here a definition from the CIM. Now I totally agree with that definitions. However, I would like to simplify it because it's a little complicated, and I'm not about complicated. I'm here to make things simple so you can take action and get growth within your business. So look at it, marketing as creating value. Value for whom, do you ask? Well, there's a couple of people that you generally create value for. First of all is those you serve, your customers, your clients. Who else do you create value for? Well, you create value for yourself if you're in the business. And if you've got shareholders, you're also creating value for them. So there's 2 or 3 people that every business is creating value for. Now, every business operates within a market that you can see at the top. So you need to make sure that you are competitive within that market. Because unless you are completely unique and the only one of the kind available, then consumers, clients will be making a choice between your products and services and other people's. So you've got to work within that market. And in certain markets, there will also be conditions for entry, standards that you have to abide by. Apologies, my phone is running off despite me putting it on silent. Let's get that settled. So apologies for that. You'll also need to look at people's needs. These are the consumers in your market. Satisfying their needs is absolutely vital for you in business. And of course, as I've already mentioned, you need profit for your business. So marketing is all about satisfying people's needs in the context of the market so you can make a profit. In order to make marketing work, before you start on communications, which is where a lot of SME owners go to first, you need to understand 3 things. So let's be really clear on those. You need to understand your customers' needs, their desires, their wants, their hopes, their aspirations. This is often called a target market. So you need to understand that first. I cannot stress that enough. If you don't know who you are marketing to, then you're literally throwing mud and hoping some will stick. The second thing is, how are you going to meet those needs? That effectively is your proposition of value to that customer. So what is it about the service or product that you're doing that enables those customers to be satisfied, that their need, want, desire is met? That is basic supply and demand, if you like, between a customer needs and your provision, your proposition. Then in order to stand out within a market, because we know it's a really crowded market, some markets are different than others, you need to be different or better than your competition. Now, I'm not using the word unique, because to have a completely unique service is not always possible for everyone in every market. So as long as you can get to different or better, i.e. a reason to choose you, then you've got a long way to what is your unique value proposition. And the simple question that you're asking, what this is a noter downer, is why pick you? Why should somebody pick you above somebody else? If you can't answer that question for yourself, then the chances your consumers or your clients can is really, really low. And there's one more thing, because of course we need to make a profit. It's all very well satisfying customer needs with something that is different, that they choose to buy from you, but you need to work out a way of delivering that profitably. And this is the element that is sometimes missed when people are putting together, coming up with their unique value proposition. And that's why I wanted to remind you of it today. Of course, it's really obvious that you need to make a business in profit, but make sure that when you're refining, developing, honing your unique value proposition, bear profit delivery in mind right from the outset. So here's a couple of questions for you for your business right now. Again, make a note of these and think about what your answer is right now. So the first question, kind of the problem question, if you like, is what problem are you solving or opportunity are you creating? Because there's many people that are glass half full, and that's fantastic. Who are you doing that for and why? So why is there need, of course? That's the first question. What problem are you solving / opportunity creating? Write down your first thoughts to that right now. Give you a second to do that. The second one is what or how will it solve their problem? How will that solve their problem? How will you solve their problem? What are you going to give them, and how is it gonna work? So this is really the solution question. And then on to the unique part, or at least different, is why would they select you above someone else? Massive tip here. If your answer is price, if the only differentiator you've got between you and someone else is price, you might want to give it more thought. Yes, different levels of pricing are differentiators within the market, but I urge you, I recommend strongly that you go beyond price, because it is all about value. If you consider how stuff could be valuable to people, I don't know, take simple, just to give you a really simple example. Take a bottle of water. Now, if I was in a supermarket, that bottle of water against other competition would probably only command a certain price relative to that situation. Its value is almost relative to whether you're thirsty, which is the consumer, whether you like water, which is the consumer, and your competition. So what are the prices of the others? If your price was really high versus those, unless you had a really compelling reason, I would probably go with somebody else's water. And just to stress the value, this is a bit ridiculous. Imagine you were in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, no water around, and you're parched. Perhaps you hadn't drunk for a couple of days. Somebody was to walk up to you with the same bottle of water, they could probably charge you any price they like. That product would become far more valuable in the eyes of the consumer. It's a ridiculous example, I know, but think about those situations, those target consumers of yours, where the product is really, really valuable. So let's have a look at each of these in turn. So first of all, your target market. And what I urge you to do is take a little bit of time here. This time is really well invested to consider your target markets. Now, you might have a number of different target markets. That's okay. If you have, consider them separately. So what is going on in their lives? What kind of lifestyles do they lead? Because by getting a bit more under the skin of these people, you can really start to define the things that they might typically need, the things that they might typically want, the things that they desire, the little things that really, really piss them off. That's a really good one. Don't just think of what people want. Think of what really annoys people. Because if you get that right, and everyone else is doing it wrong, then you can stand out. And it doesn't take much. Give an example of I don't know, the building trade. One of the things that often pisses consumers off in that field is the fact that the builders leave a mess. Generally, I'm sure there's some better ones out there. So just by committing to people that, that recognizing that factor, that could become one of your key points of difference, is that you always leave the house as good or better in terms of cleanliness than when you found it. Now that would really appeal to people who are pissed off by other builders who didn't do that, and you would stand out meeting those needs of people who are proud and want to keep a clean house, even if work is going on. To really get into the nitty-gritty, if you like, of your customers, what they're doing. Now, I'm not going to go through today a avatar creation or anything like that in a lot of details, but when you think about it, these are the key 3 things that I would focus on. What problem are you solving? What opportunity are you creating? What's the solution? And for whom? It's as simple as that. And when you think about your avatar, which is really just a description, if you like, putting the flesh on the bones to describe a typical person. They don't actually exist, they're just a representation. Think not of just their basic wants, but think of how they think, how they feel, how they see things. And as you get into their lifestyle, think about what they do, what they don't do, what they read, what they don't read, who else is in their life, how they spend their time. Now, people can sometimes get stuck on this, and I would say, give it your best thought from what you know already as a starter for 10. You can then research and evaluate and perfect as you go. Don't get completely stuck. If you know what problem you're solving and for who, then you're already on the first key track. We then move on to market, because none of us operate in isolation. Within our market, there is competition. And there is also what I call the right to play and right to win. I'll come on to that in a moment. The first question that I'm going to ask you is, which market are you in? For some of you, it's a really simple question, but be careful, because if I was to ask many businesses what market they were in, they might define it through their eyes, their lens of what they make. Now, the consumer, their target market, might see it differently. So what do I mean by this? Let's give you an example. So Netflix. If you ask Netflix what they compete with, they say sleep. They aren't mentioning the Disney Channel or Sky. They are saying sleep. And why are they doing that? Because they have got a deep understanding of how consumers consume some of their content. And they've got loads of data, so they can analyze that data and understand that actually people binge watch to a certain point where they've got a choice between watching the next episode or going to bed. So one of the things they say they compete with is sleep. So that, again, it's an extreme example just to heighten your awareness, but you might want to think about what you compete with. So if you are, I don't know, selling audio streaming, you are not necessarily just competing with other audio streaming. you're in a leisure and entertainment market, potentially within the home, competing with people's time. So the really simple way to look at it is this is the question, so again, a note-a-downer for you, is what product do you compete with? Your product or service in the eyes of the consumer. And you can look at this from two main perspectives. One is time and money, because it may be that people will use your product, I don't know, go swimming if you're in the leisure market versus playing badminton. Not as a swimming pool, you're not just competing with other swimming pools, you're competing for a consumer's leisure time. Bear that in mind. Or it could be for money. A family might have a certain pot of money that they say, this is our fun pot of money. What they do with it might be to go on holiday, might be to go out to meals. So consider your product, how it competes, look at it from the eyes of the consumer. And I'm saying this just to make sure that your market is not too narrow. You might miss somebody out there that you are really competing with if you look at your market from a too narrower perspective. The other thing that I wanted to raise is the right to play versus the opportunity to win. And this is it's a really good exercise. All you need is, as I've put on the screen there, a simple 2x2 grid. And on the left-hand side, just list down all the things that you need to play within that market. What do I mean by need to play? Well, what I mean is these are the things that you have to have, a consumer expects for you to have in order to play in that market. And there may also be regulatory factors. So if you're an accountant, then you'd need to be qualified in order to play. So that wouldn't be a unique selling proposition that you are a qualified accountant, because you need that to play in the market. This really forces you to focus on, these are the basics that I have to have in order to deliver a product that the consumer expects. And then on the right-hand side, that is your right to win. These are the things that could be different or better about you. And again, I would list down just your first thoughts, brainstorm it of the things that are different or could be different and better about you. And I say write a list because more often than not, particularly in the context, as I mentioned earlier, that not everything is unique. You will have a combination of factors that make up your unique selling value proposition. Once you know which market you're in, what you need to play within it, and how you think you might be different, the other thing that I suggest you do is just pick three competitors and just look at them and identify their opportunity. Identify their strengths and their weaknesses, because that will give you some insight as to whether you are different or better than them, but are there any weaknesses that you can exploit within your value proposition? Pause for breath. So the other bit is unique value proposition. What is your point of difference? And this has got to be, it's got to be relevant. It's got to be relevant to the consumer, and also it's got to be different and or better than your competition. Again, let's break these down. So proposition. First of all, I would like you to focus with the end in mind. What is the result that your target market, your client, is after? Then consider what you're doing to meet that need. That will then determine your product service offering. Now, one of the questions that I was asked is, how do I communicate my unique selling proposition clearly and effectively to my target market? And there's a lot of the answer in this. First of all, you've researched your target market, you know what they read, you know what they do, you know your lifestyle. So the tone of voice you use can be adapted to speak specifically to that person. You've got them in mind, and you're almost speaking to one person. You've got that avatar, and imagine a conversation with that one person. That's how you're speaking to them. The other thing you're doing is focusing on what's in it for them. So by starting with the result and how you're meeting it, forcing yourself to do that from a proposition perspective, your communications will really get through because you're focusing on what's in it for the customer. Hope that meets you. I haven't got names against these questions. Again, if that's not fully addressed, then get in touch with me. I can add more to it. So the second thing of unique value proposition is the value. And again, it's the value to me as the consumer. Why am I going to invest in it? And it's also got to be relevant and important to me. Going back to that bottle of water, why do I want that water? How much time or money will I invest in it? And why is it relevant and important to my life? Which brings us on to unique. This I've mentioned is the point of difference. You've got to be relevant, but you've got to be different and better. Now, the first thing that many people, not necessarily you, with some clever people in the room, that they go to, so what makes you different? And I don't know, 7 times out of 10, people say our customer service is better. Now, that is one of the most common USPs I hear a lot. And my simple response to that is yes, and what about it makes it better in the eyes of the consumer? Why is it important to them? How does it help them meet their need? How does that customer service different and better to the competition? And you can only answer those questions once you've actually understood the level of service that your competition offer, and you understood how customers actually perceive your service, the real experience that they get, which is another question I was asked. So what was it here? Are there any specific market research techniques that I could use to better understand my customers and competitors in relation to USP? Now, I think the first thing is to say, like, better understand your customers. One of the things, the really simple thing that I would recommend is asking your customers if they would recommend you. So a simple NPS tracking. Would you on a score of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to other people? Ask everyone that. It's a simple NPS score. And then where you've got time, you would want to understand why. And now within your why, you could leave it open. So often good to ask openly why first in terms of your question. But then I would dip down to a range of things that are things that people could possibly value as possible point of differences, and litter in there the things that you think are your USP. And then you can ask people's opinion of those things for you, and really get a score about how people are perceiving you right now. Now, I'm going to ask you another question now. And this is from it's one of our value builder questions where we help people grow the value of their business. Just look at the screen there and decide which of those best describes the exclusivity of your business to your customers. So are you A, more of a commodity? Are you B, are products that they could get from a few other suppliers? Are you quite a niche that's unique and it's difficult to find from someone? Or are you D? Have you got complete control and you can't get your product from anywhere else within the market? have a think about where you sit within that continuum. And I'll tell you why we look at this. Now, the value builder system is all about helping businesses build value within their business with a view to sale. But you don't have to be considering selling your business right now. You can build value in it at any time because that's profit for you. So from a virtuous circle perspective, the more differentiated you are, the more control you have over your pricing, which leads to higher margins. That means you can invest more in your business, more in marketing to get more customers, and so that virtuous circle continues. And we've only got a couple of minutes to go now, but the one thing I wanted to kind of leave you with is a mistake that people often make when it comes to unique value proposition is they think about what's really different. But remember that difference has to be relevant to the consumer. So you could use a simple grid like this and say, okay, well, with your ideas, with your possible USPs on, and say, how different, plot your ideas in terms of how different you feel they are to other people in the market on the upwards axis, and then across, consider how much people care about that difference, whether it's going to be relevant to them. Because here, what you need to pass is the so what test. What I'm saying is it's no point being really, really different and standing out if your customers do not care about that difference. You've got to pass that so what test. If you plot them all out on here, remember we've got a list of potentially a number of different things. You will also find that actually maybe there's a small group of things that you can use together to combine into your unique value proposition. So let's sum up. Be really clear on your target market needs. Be really clear on what you have to do to play and what you have to do to win. Have a really clear reason why consumers are going to prefer to choose you, and make sure that you are delivering profitability. And I want to end just on one note, just to give you a really simple example to explain that. So you start with a need. You could satisfy that need. And of course, you've designed your P&L so you can make a margin. But you've got potentially 0 point of difference, but you've satisfied the consumer. So people are maybe less likely to choose you. You could have identified the need. You might have satisfied that in a different way to other competitions. Good progress. You've still got a good margin designed into your P&L, and you've potentially got some point of difference. And at that point of time, you have to decide whether that is a nice to have point of difference or something that's irrelevant to the consumer. It's got to be relevant. The more relevant it is, the more they're likely to choose you are, the more control you have over pricing. So the ideal is to identify a need. Find out how you can delight that consumer in a unique and special way. That way you can build in a higher margin because people are willing to pay for stuff that they value. And then you have a really compelling point of difference that is relevant and valuable to the competition. So that is that is a quick snapshot in terms of building your unique value proposition. Please, if you've got, and if this sparks any more questions, then come back to us within the community. I know we're just over 1 o'clock, but I've got time myself for a couple of questions. Karen, do we have any more questions from people?
No, just the one that we start with.
There's no more questions. Okay.
Exactly.
If that's the case, then look, thank you very much for attending. Decide what action you're going to take to profit from today. So go away, think what action you're going to take, decide on it, and then most importantly, take that action. If that action is just to reach out to somebody within the community to find out more, get your specific questions answered, then do that. Thank you for joining us today on the No Limits Bronze Coaching Session. Good luck with really developing a fantastic, unique value proposition. Take care.